This is Dr. Daniel Paul with Easy Orthopedics, and today I'm going to talk about 13 things you can do to create the best ergonomic office setup. So I'm an orthopedic surgeon, so my take is a little bit different. It combines kind of my medical knowledge with my knowledge of ergonomics and what I think would create the best home office setup. So the first thing you want to do is, the most important thing, is when you're sitting at your desk, you want the height of your chair such that your elbows are at 90 degrees to the working surface. Meaning that when you're sitting at your chair, your arms can comfortably hover over the working surface. That will avoid you having to lift your arms up, causing some shoulder issues, or having to kind of do this sort of motion, which will put some strain on your elbows and wrists. So that's thing number one. Now also you want to pay attention to your feet. So while your elbows are at 90 degrees, comfortably hovering over the working surface, you also want to make sure your knees are at 90 degrees as well, with your feet resting comfortably on the floor. So if your feet are dangling off the floor, that's no good, or if your knees are all the way hiked up, that's no good either. You want to sit perfectly at 90 degrees. Now the issue is, you may not be at the right height for your desk and for your legs. So there's two solutions for this. If you find that you're too short, so you want to adjust yourself so your arms are at 90 degrees, and if you find that your legs aren't touching the ground, what you want to do is get a footrest. It can be a formal footrest you buy on Amazon, or it can be a box or a bunch of books. As long as something that's stable, you'll find that that'll take some strain off your back and make it a lot more comfortable. If you're too tall and you find that with your arms resting at the right position, your knees are all hiked up, you may need to get an adjustable height desk to adjust it to the right height. Your desk may actually be too small. You also want to make sure that your desk is large enough to hold everything that you need. It seems kind of straightforward, but you don't want to have such a small desk where you have to turn your head this way and that way and grab this and move that and go underneath your desk. You want a nice large working surface so that you have everything that you need. And also, along the same lines, you want to make sure that the under surface of your desk is clean or clear. You don't want to have a bunch of boxes and stuff on the bottom that you have to move your legs around. You want your legs to have free range of motion. As most people, they don't like to sit static in one position. So you're constantly moving forward or moving back and moving your legs forward and back. And it's almost like sitting on a cramped flight. You want to have that leg room. You don't want to have that situation where you can't move your legs. So they used to make computer tables that had pull-out, trays for the keyboard. That's really not the greatest idea. You want to make sure it's nice and clear. You also want to make sure that you have the right chair. Now, there's no magic chair. You just want to make sure that your chair is adjustable and provides good lumbar support, and the adjustments such that you can get into the positions that we just talked about, with your arms at 90 degrees and your legs at 90 degrees as well. And make sure that you understand your chairs as well and go through all the knobs and decide what they do. But yeah, you want to make sure you can adjust it to that height and it gives you good lumbar support. There's nothing worse than a chair that doesn't give you any lumbar support and then you lean back and it hurts. Now, there are other chairs like those big exercise balls that you can sit on to improve your posture. Those are okay too, as long as you maintain good posture. If you feel that you're not, then you may be using them too much. You may have to trade that out with a normal chair. Now moving to the keyboard. So the keyboard, you want to have about 4 inches from the leading edge of your desk. Again, with your elbows at 90 degrees and your hands resting comfortably over them. You don't really want to have it too far out so you're leaning too far forward, or too close to you where you're kind of leaning back. So that's the ideal type of keyboard. Now also, if you're not a person that uses a number pad, I don't use it, but I know a lot of people do use it. But if you don't use it, you may want to look into getting a keyboard without a number pad, because that'll allow you to keep your mouse closer to the keyboard. And that'll actually be more ergonomic than having your mouse all the way out to the side. Again, if you use it, don't worry about it. But if you don't use it, that may be something that you want to look into. And also is the concept of a wrist rest. So the wrist rest in front of the keyboard is supposed to only be used when you're not typing. It's actually not ideal to put your hands on the wrist rest and do like this and type. That's going to be uncomfortable. When you type, you want to have your wrist at perfectly neutral like that and hovering comfortably. So the wrist rests are for resting. They're not really for resting while you type. And lastly, if there's documents that you refer to a lot, it may be worthwhile for you to get a document holder and put it to the side of your screen. That'll be much more convenient for you, and you won't have to crimp your neck as much. Also, if you're on the phone a lot as well, you're probably going to want to get a headset. So this may definitely have been over 13 things. So the title is a little bit misleading. There's a lot of different things you can do to get a good ergonomic setup, but it's worth doing. And you'll just be much more comfortable at work, especially if you're working from home. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, or any questions, just leave them below and I'll do my best to respond. If you like this video, we put out new content every week, so please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.